All right, guys. So welcome. This is a presentation about the presidential amendments, which are 12, 20, 22nd, 25th. And so we're going to talk about maybe the significance that each of these holds. So presidential elections are pretty famous in American politics. And so most recently was Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in 2016, a really important election to our country. And so it was highly controversial, but it is not the first election that was so. So past elections were also considered controversial, like Jefferson and Burr, or Adams versus Jefferson, which some people think was actually much more vicious than our 2016 election. And because, though, of the election of 1800, which resulted in a tie in the Electoral College, the 12th Amendment was ratified and passed in order to create a separate ballot so that you know who you're voting for. Um, so originally, the first place person would be the president, and the second place person would be the vice president. Imagine a Trump Clinton ticket. That would be a doozy. So the next has to do with this strange picture. A political term is lame duck, which is developed to describe a period of time after an election, but before you're sworn in, right, to serve your term, in which your political power is less substantial and your ability to act is pretty limited. And so really, due to modern transportation of the 20th century, the amendment pushed up the inauguration date forward from March to January 20th. And so this avoids a longer time, a couple months of the president just kind of sitting around waiting for the next president to join up. And so ever since George Washington said that he thought it would be best to serve 2 terms of 4 years. Presidents abided by that precedent for a really long time. However, that is an informal rule, right? It was not nothing written down. No law was passed to do that. And so once President Franklin D. Roosevelt became president in the midst of the Great Depression and then later in World War II, he decided to run for a third and then a fourth term, and he was elected to both. So the 22nd Amendment, though, limits that now. And so we can see, right, just kind of what I just said. But now the 22nd Amendment says, no, you can only serve 2 terms. Um, and that limits actually presidents to a total of 10 years service. So you could serve part of somebody's um, term as VP. So, you know, you want to look good if you get the joke. Bonus points for you, right? So, however, people have been sad despite the 22nd Amendment. Limiting presidents to 2 terms. Some popular presidents, like Ronald Reagan, people have prompted a discussion about getting rid of the 22nd Amendment, that people should vote and decide who they want to be their leader. Later on, right, Bill Clinton, right, said people were talking about that towards the end of his term. Maybe we should allow him to run for a third time. Obama, the idea was once again tossed around in his late part of his term, but no, 2 terms is the deal. So the 23rd Amendment is we already talked about this in a different video, but because it's relevant to the president, it's good to talk about. So the founding fathers decided that the state capital would not be placed in a state, right? That it wouldn't give one advantage to one state over another, and but with that, the residents of Washington, D.C., because they're not a state, cannot vote in presidential elections because only people like in Ohio can vote for president. And so this setup, and this wasn't originally a problem when D.C. was a pretty small, but now that it's bigger than 2 states, small states like Wyoming or something, that it really represents a large amount of people. So the 23rd Amendment was passed and gives people the ability to vote, just like in any other state. But also, the big part here is this 3 electoral votes, right? So not only can they choose the president, but they can actually have an influence over the electoral college. So we'll see. That's pretty significant. So later on, the 25th Amendment is passed. This sets up succession. So basically, who takes over for the president after, in case the president were to die or not be able to serve out their term. So obviously, the Constitution makes it clear the VP takes over if the president's unable to do so. But then who else, right? Imagine a President Joe Biden. Didn't happen. But we'll see. Quite a character. But if President Obama, for example, were out playing golf, he was playing in Florida, and all of a sudden confronted by an alligator, and then which proceeded to eat him, right? That would be a big problem. That would be really sad. And so Vice President Joe Biden would take over as president, right? However, if now as president Joe Biden went back to that same golf course, right, and a freak thunderstorm hit him with lightning, and another crocodile proceeded to eat him, who would be president next? Right, sad Joe Biden. Then it would be, Speaker of the House Paul Ryan would become president. But if he died because of a broken heart, so sad. Then the longest serving member of the Senate, named Orrin Hatch, will become president because he has the title of President pro tempore of the Senate, basically the longest serving member of the U.S. Senate. After that, if he weren't able to serve, John Kerry would serve. This was during President Obama's administration. But if he went out windsurfing and then he proceeded to die, a guy like Jack Lew would take over, who is the Secretary of the Treasury. And check out this guy's signature. So sweet. I wish I could sign something like that. Printed in millions of dollars. So after that, another cabinet member is Ash Carter. He's the Secretary of Defense, so in charge of the military. Or, if not him, Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, who's in charge of the Department of Justice. And even this guy, Tom Vilsack, who was the Secretary of Agriculture. But there's even more people than that, believe it or not. So this is the long list. So we had a couple along the way. But they chose these in order of when they were added to the office of the president, or the executive office of the president. Come on, there we go. So the VA and Homeland Security were the last ones to get added. So here's a video that I can't show you because YouTube doesn't like it, but if you click in the presentation, but essentially the 25th Amendment sets up this line of succession because of the death of JFK, and Lyndon Baines Johnson didn't really have strong health at the time. So guys, hopefully that makes sense. Amendments 12, 20, 22, 23, and 25. Here's some resources for you to check out, Quizlet and Quiziz. And so the end. We did it. Check us out. Look at all those guys.